Hello, this is Peter at Zzipp Media here in Weymouth. Today I'm talking to A.F. Marseh. I went to his book signing the other night at Caffeine, and it was really successful evening. So, over to you.
Thanks for coming the other night. First of all, really appreciate that and setting up the cameras and everything. It was great to watch it back, so thank you firstly for that. My name's Af, born and bred in Weymouth, and I recently published a book in October called Tumorous Testicles, Just Say Cancer, and it's hopefully opening up the discussions about a difficult subject such as cancer, but it's done in a humorous, light-hearted way to make a tough subject and not so difficult to talk about. The book predominantly focuses on my journey where I moved away from Weymouth to Brazil to work at the Rio 2016 Olympics.
Right.
And then whilst out there, unfortunately had a back pain which turned out to be a tumour, and had to get a flight back to the UK. And then it follows the medical journey through Weymouth GPs and Dorset County Hospital where I got treated, and Poole Hospital in Southampton as well. And there's lots of other local stories in there. So about the time I went walking along Durdle Door during chemotherapy, and also one of the more adventurous ones of climbing up Pulpit Rock on Portland just before I started chemotherapy, which turned out wasn't the best decision to do just a week before chemotherapy.
Probably not.
It resulted in a bit of a panic attack and an asthma attack and a call out from the paramedics and things. But the book, it's like I say, it's a really humorous take on some of the chaos that cancer can bring to you and your family. It highlights everybody's journey around me, which is my mum and my dad and sister and friends as well. It's like I say, it's based a lot in Dorset and things like that. So especially for Dorset readers and anybody that's been affected by cancer, they'll probably relate to this book quite a lot.
Right. So how long did it take you to write? You said 3 years?
Yeah. I was making notes and I used to blog a lot as well. I used to do lots of blogs and write some comedy, and the idea was there probably from when I got the all clear or even during the cancer. I can't really remember, which was in 2016. But the actual, I would say, official writing down, this is chapter 1, was January 2020. So 3.5 years it took me to write and publish. So I took my time on it, and to be honest, I think that's quite a big benefit in the story as well, because I see a lot of people that have overcome cancer or something like that, and people, lots of celebrities, they release books straight away, and I look at people on the TV and things, and I think you haven't really had time to digest it all or reflect or see the impact that it's had on you and your family and friends. So even though it took me 7 years from the diagnosis to actually get it out, I feel like that gave me a lot of time to reflect on it and also do some research within other cancer communities and things like that, to make sure that it was all relatable to other people's cancer journeys. It's not just mine. It's a lot of relatable things in there.
So really, you've been very positive about the process. Because it's a difficult thing to go through, but you've had to keep positive all the way through.
So the positivity wasn't really a choice. It wasn't like I'm writing positive mantras everywhere and things like that. I think that came from a lot of challenges and things that I'd done. But basically, when I came back from Brazil, everybody had seen me living this high life in Brazil and being on Copacabana Beach and being amongst the Olympics and stuff, and I documented that on social media as well, and everybody was like, look, this guy's having a great time. And then 1 week later I had to put a Facebook status saying, I've got a tumour and I'm having surgery tomorrow to remove part of the cancer. So And I wrote, "Don't worry, everybody, we got this." And
Right.
everybody wrote on my Facebook statuses, "You got this, Af, you got this, you got this." And yeah, it started off some positivity, and I got video messages from like Anthony Joshua, the boxing heavyweight champion, and Dame Kelly Holmes, Olympian, and lots of famous people. It started a little trend of "You got this,"
Right.
and then yeah, sharing my story, it allowed a lot of other people to open up about their stories, and giving themselves extra motivation or confidence in all walks of life, whether that was, I had a couple of people quit their jobs and find new work because of it, or people got out of relationships, people went back to the gym, and I even had one lady contact me, say that she was wearing a "You Got This" wristband during childbirth, which was quite surreal.
Yeah. So it's like, I always think positivity is like throwing a stone in a pond,
Yeah.
and all the rings kind of move outwards.
Yeah,
So you can do something very small that you consider very small,
yeah,
and it has more and more effect than you would think it has.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So when I was just, like I say, writing these statuses on Facebook just to update my social media world, it was,
Right.
like you say, the ripple effect of that was afterwards a lot of people contacted me with cancer, or friends that had cancer, and people were diagnosed saying, "Oh, my friend's just been diagnosed, can you speak with them?" And I'd always say yes. And then I used to write people letters of people that were newly diagnosed. And then after writing quite a lot of letters to people with new diagnosis, I thought, actually, I could just put this into a book, and it's almost like a guide,
Yes.
without telling you the rules of what to think or how to behave and act, but a sort of comparable story of, this is what happened to me, and if it happens to you, this is how you could act towards it in a positive light. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had relatives and friends who've had cancer, and it's always a shock to have that told to you by a doctor.
Yeah.
It's you wonder where you're going to go next.
Yeah.
What do I do? Who do I talk to? Who do I see?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a wonderful night.
Thank you.
At the book signing. I really enjoyed it. And the people there seemed to really connect with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I wasn't expecting or didn't predict when I was arranging the night, was actually afterwards with the book signing, everyone came up to me afterwards with their own personal cancer story, and that was either how they'd been affected themselves. There was a few people in the audience that night who were going through cancer treatment right now. There were some people that had lost their parents through cancer, or they've had siblings with cancer, and everybody came up and wanted to open up to me about their cancer journey, which was really fascinating, and I thought it gave people a little bit of I don't know, respite or something, that they could
Sure.
share share their stories back with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you know as well, and the other thing I wasn't expecting is, because I read 3 chapters out, I think, or 2 chapters, and one of them was going to be quite poignant, and this is because the book pulls on the heartstrings a little bit within places.
Sure.
And a lot of it is quite funny, and I read out one of what I thought was a poignant chapter, and everybody was laughing all the way through it. So yeah, I read about the diagnosis day when I first went to Dorchester Hospital, and they confirmed that I had cancer, and as I looked back and reflected on it, I thought everybody was laughing at the chapter where I said I had confirmed that I had cancer, which I think that sort of explains the book in a way, that even in the darkest times, people were finding light and humour, and it just gets you through a little bit easier.
Yeah. You said in the the book signing that you wrote most of it on the toilet.
No, not on the toilet.
Or in a
Yeah.
where did you write it?
I wrote most of it in my mum's shed.
In the shed. Well, you see, that shows how old I am. In the old days, the toilet used to be in the shed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not
in the
quite
shed.
the toilet.
It's not quite the toilet, but it's in the shed.
Yeah, he's in the shed, and that does, to be honest, it gets very cold and stuff like that. So,
Right.
yeah, it was an experience. I did also write most of it in Weymouth Library and Dorchester Library as well.
Right.
That's where I get my best work produced. Is I'll go and sit on the top floor of Dorchester Library, and you're surrounded by books, and you're surrounded by other people that are writing, or students that are trying to do assignments in probably projects that I have no clue about, but it's all very inspiring, like being surrounded by people on a sort of creative journey. So there was two sides of it. If I needed that creativity to get into me via like osmosis, then I would sit in the libraries, and then every now and then, right at the very end of those creative bits, when you really have to focus on the detail, then that's when I would spend it in my mum's shed, finishing off the finer tuning points of it. Yeah.
You are also a stand-up comedian as well.
Yeah, I do a bit of stand-up comedy.
So where do you get your material from for that? Is it observation or?
So I mean, it used to be. So the story of that is I gigged a lot from 2012 to 2016. I did a lot of stand-up comedy. I was living in Essex at that point, and I was on the London circuit quite a lot. And then obviously I moved to Brazil and to work at the Olympics.
Right.
So I didn't do comedy over there, and then I had the cancer. So the cancer set me back a little bit. Really proud to say now that a lot of the people I used to gig with, they're on the TV now and Channel 4, and some are in sitcoms and stuff. So it took a lot of time to get back on stage, because I had this thing called chemo brain, which is like after the chemotherapy, it sort of gives you a brain fog.
Right. Yeah.
So, stand-up comedy is scary and daunting at the best of times.
I bet.
When you're at the top of your game, but when I couldn't, with the chemo brain, I forgot people's names, and I forgot my PIN code for my bank card and things like that. So it really scared me to go back on stage, because if you forget your next line, that's it.
Yes. Yeah.
You're finished.
Yeah.
So I've got back on stage recently, and my jokes at the moment are off the back of the book. I don't really talk about cancer, but I talk about life with one testicle, and what that does, and some comparable stories to just having one testicle, because some of those mishaps and misfortunes have been quite humorous as well at times. I think that's part of comedy, is sometimes it's almost like therapy. Like
Absolutely, yeah.
If you can go on stage and tell a story which is a bad thing and turn it into a funny thing and tell it to a room full of strangers, it doesn't become a problem anymore in your head. It sort of is out in the world, and you can address those thoughts a lot easier, I think. So yeah.
I've always thought stand-up comedy is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you know what you want to say, but it's all those sea of faces out there.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful you don't freeze up. I do a lot of poetry readings and things,
Okay.
and to a live audience, and it is scary before you go on.
Yeah.
But I think once you get on the stage, you kind of gird your loins and just get on with it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think I've done maybe like 200 gigs or something, and I think I've probably been sick on 198 of them, like in the toilets, throwing up from nerves, and that's not a good thing for my health. So I need to address sometimes curb find a way of curbing that. But
Yes,
I mean,
it's probably a wise thing.
I did one gig where I wasn't sick, and
Right.
it was just like the worst gig ever. So I know that if I start heaving, this is not the most romantic talk, but if I start heaving, I know my body is ready. I know I'm ready to perform.
Yeah.
And like you say, as soon as you go up on stage, put the microphone in your hand, it just vanishes, and you're there. Yeah, game time. It's good fun.
Okay. So, if you want to tell everybody where they can buy the book, and I'll put a link under this video so people can watch the video and click the link and buy the book as well.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So the book's available on Amazon at the moment. There's other websites as well which is available, but Amazon's probably the easiest one for most people. And it's on paperback, Kindle Unlimited, hardback, and this week it will be released on Audible as well.
Yeah.
So
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
yeah, so that was an important thing as well, because a lot of people that are going through cancer, maybe the last thing they want to do is read a book. So if they can just stick their headphones in and listen to it and follow the journey, then that's going to be a positive for people affected as well. But yeah, it's on Amazon. Tumorous Testicles, Just Say Cancer by Marseh. If you put, I think even if you can't spell tumorous testicles, you can type in Just Say Cancer,
Right.
and that comes up as well. But yeah, it's been getting some good feedback so far. I think it's got 75 5-star ratings so far, which has been great, and some really positive comments. And yeah, it's getting a little bit of publicity now as well. So I'm happy with how it's going.
You've been on the radio and television a lot recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I was on BBC Radio Solent on Friday. I was on BBC Merseyside on Saturday. So yeah, hopefully the audiobook will give another bit of a splash, and hopefully get to the charts in that, because it was a bestseller. Here it is in my hand. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. It was. It went to #1 in the cancer category for cancer books. It went to #2 in humour, doctors and nurses and medicine. So just behind Dawn French and her memoir. So I'm quite proud of that. It's good company to have.
It is.
And yeah, it's doing quite well. So anybody from Weymouth or Dorset, anybody that's been affected by cancer, or anybody that just likes a good story, because it's not fully just cancer in there. There's a bit of a love story in there as well.
I believe there is. Yes.
Yeah.
A young lady.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody, you will love it. You will fall in love with all the characters in there. There's my best friend Rich in there, who was, a bit like, ignore the problem. Let's just go to the pub, and that sort of thing. There's a mother-son relationship in there which you want to heal in a way. There's a dad-son dynamic, which dad-son dynamics are always interesting to watch. So yeah, it's all about what happens during a crisis like trauma and the relationships around you.
Okay, well, thank you for the interview. And as I say, this probably will be ready and published. What time is it now? 2 minutes past 2, so maybe around 5 o'clock.
Amazing.
All right?
Yes, thank you.
So say again, thank you for the interview, and goodbye for now.
Goodbye.